both for being here and for your testimony. Secretary Turk, I'm going to begin with you. In New Hampshire, we have a very effective energy nonprofit that has energy circuit riders that have been individual, only a couple, but they've been going around helping communities look at how they can be more efficient with their energy use, as well as looking at alternative sources of energy. We are putting a lot of money into states like New Hampshire through the Inflation Reduction Act and the bipartisan infrastructure package. So can you talk about how this budget is going to support technical assistance and outreach so that communities know what's available, and how can we help them take advantage of what's in those pieces of legislation?
Well, thanks to you, Senator, and leadership from others, we do have these historic tools in our tool belt on efficiency and rebates and all across the board. It's incredibly exciting to have that. But it does no good if communities, if households, if families aren't aware of them, and we don't make it easy to take full advantage of this. So I think you're absolutely right to focus on the technical assistance piece and making sure that everything we're doing, from designing the funding opportunities in the first place to designing the web interface for rebates and making sure that that's easily accessible. And part of our new Undersecretary for Infrastructure is an incredibly important office. It's not gotten as much attention as I think deserves. It's called the State and Community Energy Program Office. And the theory of the case there is to make sure that we have the human resources that can interface with communities, that can have those engagement, those discussions in a very proactive, but also in a very respectful way, because each community is different in terms of what the opportunities and the challenges are on that front. And what we want to do is help design particular programs. You can take advantage of this and this. Maybe this isn't quite a good fit over here for you. And then make sure that all the deadlines are aware of, make sure the application process is an easy application process, make sure consumers in those regions, in those communities have that opportunity. That is going to take an awful lot of effort and leadership, not only from us, but funding, including for the State and Community Energy Program Office in FY24 and for years after that as well.
Well, I hope you will think about members of Congress as potential outreach opportunities to help our communities take advantage of what's available. We've been trying to do that, and the closer we can work with you all, the better. And that brings up another aspect of this, and that is, can you talk about how you're working with other federal agencies who are also engaged in promoting the programs in those two pieces of legislation, Treasury, EPA, other agencies that have overlapping jurisdictions. But in order for this to work, everybody has to work together.
Everybody has to work together, and having been in the government in the executive branch, it's challenging, but the prize is huge if we're able to actually get our acts together on this front. So a few concrete examples of this. One is the federal government uses an awful lot of energy in all of our facilities across the country. There's a program called FEMP, and there's some additional historic levels of funding that you all have provided last Congress for a program called EFFECT. This is hundreds of millions of dollars to try to help improve the efficiency of those federal facilities across the country. And so we're trying to lean in on that and make sure that federal facilities, whether they're our facilities or other facilities, can take advantage of that funding going forward. We have a couple of hundred of our DOE staff working with IRS and Treasury, helping to design those tax incentives that are so important to make sure that it takes into account the energy expertise that we have to get the biggest bang for taxpayer buck from those pieces as well. You mentioned EPA. EPA is setting up a number of incredibly important programs, and we're trying to work hand in hand with them to make sure that they get the biggest bang for buck from their efforts going forward as well. So this is something we're going to your point on using you as outreach leveragers, you know your communities better than we do. And so we'll absolutely do that with you and with other senators and look forward to that kind of engagement.
Well, thank you. And I'm glad you mentioned FEMP, because one of my other questions was going to be about what we're doing to help federal entities with energy savings. We have the Cold Region Research and Engineering Lab in Hanover, New Hampshire, which is a very important lab for the federal government. I know that they would like additional opportunities to save energy, and as well as the White Mountain National Forest, where they have a very inefficient building that's too small. They welcome over 60,000 visitors a year. We need to help them build a new building that is compliant with our climate goals. So thank you very much. Thank you both. Secretary Hruby, I had a chance to see you at the Armed Services, so you answered my questions then. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Hagerty.
Thank you. Administrator Hruby, I'd like to come back to you. It's good to see you again. I wanted